Earlier this month, Nintendo and developer Mercury Steam developed and released Metroid Samus Returns. And you bet that this guy pre-ordered the game and picked it up on day one. After 100%ing the game and playing through it again on hard mode, I wanted to talk about it and give my general thoughts on the game. So for those who don't know, Metroid Samus Returns is a remake of the 1991 Game Boy game Metroid 2 Return of Samus. That game was the second Metroid game to exist and brought up many new features to the Metroid series, such as the Spider Ball and the Screw Attack. However, the game has aged very poorly since it was released on the gray brick that was the Game Boy. Backgrounds are all black, and areas look extremely similar, making it a bit hard to navigate. Also, on top of this, there's no map. The other thing important about Metroid 2 is that the game is super important to the story of Metroid. It's the game that introduces the baby Metroid, which becomes crucial to every game after the events of Metroid 2, so it desperately needed to be remade to show arguably the most important moment in the story, and to be updated for a modern approach to game design. Now before I continue, I feel like it's pretty important to talk about the elephant in the room that is AM2R. Last year, on the 30th anniversary of the original Metroid, Milton Guasti, aka Dr. M64, with the help of some friends, developed and released AM2R, or another Metroid 2 remake. This game was a completely fan-made remake of Metroid 2 and was loved by many people, including myself, as a great game. Some people even consider it an actual Metroid game, even though it was made by a fan. A few days after the release of the game, however, Nintendo sent out a takedown notice to the game and it's since been taken down. Obviously it makes sense now why Nintendo took it down. Anyway, what I'm saying is that I will not be comparing these two games in this video. They're both fantastic games, but at the same time they are very different games. If you really want my opinion, I think the new game is better with more depth and better design. However, I feel like AM2R succeeds in terms of music, visuals, and movement. With that out of the way, let's talk about the game. So the story of Metroid Samus Returns is the same as the original. You are tasked with going to the homeworld of the Metroids, planet SR388, to commit genocide on all Metroids so that they may not be used by evil to take over the galaxy. Nothing is added and it's super simple. I like this a lot because it does the job of telling you a story, a simple story, and giving you a goal to complete. For those of you who like lore, however, after beating the game, you will unlock Chozo memories, pictures that show events that happened on SR388 before you arrived. You will need to 100% the game before unlocking all of them, however. So with the story out of the way, let's talk about the presentation. Unlike every other 2D Metroid, Metroid Samus Returns is not made with pixel art, instead using 3D models for a 2.5D style of gameplay. While it does look a bit dated on the 3DS, especially with the older hardware, I've learned to really enjoy it. If it was on the Switch, it would look absolutely amazing in terms of this graphical style. Anyway, the environments are really well made and the game generally looks really nice for a 3DS game. It also has a really good 3D feature. For being the 3DS, not many people I know who have a 3DS use the 3D functionality at all, but this game makes me turn it on from time to time because it is really well done. The music in this game is also very nice, with some remixes of past songs and some great new ones. I particularly love the new remix of SR388's theme. Finally, let's talk about the gameplay. There are a few things to note about this game's gameplay. First of all, the map is much bigger. Seriously, the map in this game is absolutely crazy big. Since the game is now on 3DS, you have a constant view of the map. You can also create pins on the map to mark locations that you need to go back to. Say you come across a door that you don't have the proper beam to open. You put a pin on the map and then you can come back later. The power-ups are mostly the same, with the exception of adding a few new items, this being the power bombs and the super missiles are a couple of the examples. But in terms of new abilities, the Aeon abilities are here. In the game, there are 4 total Aeon abilities. Scan Pulse allows you to scan your map and reveal where hidden items are. Lightning Armor allows you to not take damage as long as you have Aeon energy. Beam Burst allows you to supercharge your beam to kill certain enemies. And finally, Phase Drift allows you to slow down time, giving it the same use as a speed booster. These items are really good for the game and are really nice additions. They make it so that the game feels fresh and brand new. And that's one thing that I really like about this game. It doesn't feel like a remake, it feels like a completely new game. Now let's talk about the game structure. Essentially, there are 9 areas in the game. In each except the last one, there are Chozo seals that block you from going to the next area. You must kill all the Metroids in one area to continue. As you get deeper into planet SR388, the Metroids become more and more deadly with new mutations and evolutions. every Metroid is like a mini-boss. In fact, there are only 3 bosses other than the Metroids. However, there are over 40 Metroids to hunt down. For a Metroid game, some people say that the game structure of the second one is super linear. And while I do agree that you can never really sequence break in this game, and how it's more linear than others, I don't feel like it's crazy linear, especially in this game. They give you a massive amount of ways to do the certain areas in whatever order you want. On top of this, I feel like most Metroid games, maybe aside for the Super Metroid and Zero Mission, are just linear in nature. It's just they have a big open world that you are discovering, but only at the pace of the developers that they want you to discover, unless you're sequence breaking, of course. What I'm saying is that every Metroid game has an intended path. Level design just makes it so that you don't really notice. This Metroid game is probably the longest one 2D wise, as it took me over 12 hours to get everything 100%. However, you could definitely beat this game in under 4 hours. In fact, for doing so, you'll be rewarded with Samus posing as a Zero suit instead of her normal armor. After beating the game once, you'll unlock Hard Mode. In this mode, you take double the damage you would in normal mode. After beating the game, you also unlock Chosen Memories I mentioned earlier. Okay, now I think it's time to talk about the amiibos. There are a total of 4 Metroid-themed amiibos currently. There are the 2 Smash Bros. Ones, and then there are 2 ones that were made specifically for this game, with the Samus one and the Squishy Metroid one, which I don't have yet, unfortunately. Anyway, they all do something in this game. The Smash Bros. Amiibos gives you a missile reserve tank and an energy reserve tank, essentially allowing you to give you a quick revive. The Metroid Samus Amiibo gives you an Aeon reserve tank, and the Metroid Amiibo, the squishy one, shows you the location of the next Metroid. They all also unlock things after beating the game. The Smash Bros. Amiibos unlock a sound test and a concept art gallery, while the new ones unlock concept art from the original 1991 game and also Fusion mode, and even more hard mode where you play a Samus Fusion suit from Metroid Fusion. Now, while this game is absolutely amazing, I do have a couple problems with this game. A few gripes I have with this game is that the morph ball is much slower than running normally, which is the first time in series history of this being true. Turning into a morph ball feels a bit weird, but it's something I got used to. Other than that, the game can feel a bit slow at times, since you're stopping for the free aim. You can't move. Metroid is always at its best when you're going really fast. However, this game is a bit slower than the others. Another thing I could see being a big turnoff for some people is that the map layout of this game is so drastically different from the original that it's almost unrecognizable. And I feel like that's what they were going for. And, you know, if you're the type of person who wants like a straight remake, then play AM2R. But if you're a person who wants like a reimagining and a better overall experience, in my opinion, Metroid Samus Returns is definitely where you should go. Alright, I think I've said everything I need to say about this game, so in conclusion, Metroid Samus Returns is an amazing reimagining of Metroid 2 from 1991, with absolutely amazing gameplay, a great soundtrack, and pretty great visuals for a 3DS game. Other than the few gripes I have, the game is absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it if you are a fan of Metroid games or Metroidvanias and own a 3DS. I'd probably give this game like an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10, but I don't really give that kind of review score. Anyways guys, that's all I have to say for today, so if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, share with your friends and stuff. I'd really appreciate it, and yeah, bye guys.